The market of shadows, the city, was dark and cold, with tall buildings casting long shadows over narrow streets. The air smelled of metal and smoke, and distant noises echoed through the alleys. Deep inside, the poorest part of the city was a secret place known as the Market of Shadows. Here, people came to buy and sell things no one else wanted to see, things that were hidden from the bright world above. Among the many stalls and cages was one that stood out from the rest. Inside was a massive alien woman, her body much larger than any other creature in the market. Her skin was pale and smooth, but covered in scars and dirt. She sat quietly, eyes tired but sharp. Watching the crowd with a mix of fear and sadness, the sellers whispered about her, saying she was too big to breed in their cruel world. That meant she was not good for making more aliens. So, they decided to sell her for meat instead. Her size made her valuable for those who wanted food, not freedom or respect. The alien woman, named Cora, remembered a time when she was free. She thought about her family and her home planet, but now, all those memories felt like a dream far away. No one cared about her past, only her body. The market was full of harsh voices and cold eyes. Buyers came and went, looking for the best deal. Cora's heart beat fast every time someone stopped near her cage. She knew what they wanted and feared what might happen next. Suddenly, the noise changed, and the crowd parted. A human man stepped into the market, different from all the others. He wore simple clothes, but his eyes showed kindness and strength. The sellers looked at him with surprise and suspicion. The man walked straight to Cora's cage without fear. He looked at her, not with hunger or greed, but with concern. How much for her? He asked quietly. The sellers laughed. She is heavy meat, worth a fortune. But no one wants to breed her. The man nodded and gave a bag of credits. Without another word, the cage was opened, and Cora was set free from her chains. She stepped out slowly. Unsure if this was real or another trap, the human held out his hand. "Come with me," he said softly. Cora looked into his eyes and saw hope for the first time in a long while. She took his hand, her large fingers trembling, and followed him out of the market. The crowd whispered and watched, some angry, some shocked. No one understood why a human would buy an alien meant for meat, but the man did not care. He only wanted to help. As they walked through the dark streets, Cora tried to speak. "Why did you save me?" she asked in a quiet voice. The man smiled gently. "Because everyone deserves a chance." Cora felt something inside her change. A small light in the darkness. She wanted to believe him, but fear held her back. The city was full of danger, and she was not sure if she could trust anyone anymore. The man stopped at a small, old building with a warm light inside. "This is my home," he said, opening the door. Cora stepped inside and saw it was simple but clean. There was food on the table and a bed in the corner. For the first time in a long time, Cora felt safe. The man gave her water and food. Watching her carefully, she ate slowly, her body hungry but her heart still afraid. The man introduced himself as Jack, a human who believed in kindness. He did not judge Cora by her size or scars. Instead, he saw her as a person, someone who deserved respect. Night fell outside, but inside, the small home felt warm. Cora sat by the window, looking at the stars she had not seen for years. Jack sat quietly nearby, giving her space but ready to help. Suddenly, a sound from outside made them both tense. The market people had not forgotten Cora, and they were coming back. Jack stood up, his eyes hard with determination. He would not let anyone take her again. Cora felt a strange mix of fear and hope. For the first time, someone was fighting for her, but the fight was just beginning. The Market of Shadows was watching, and they would not give up easily. The unlikely buyer, the sun had not yet risen when Jack woke up. the city was still dark and quiet outside his small home. He looked at Cora, sleeping on the bed, her large body curled up carefully to fit. For a moment, he felt a strange calm, but deep inside, he knew trouble was coming. Jack was not like other humans in the city. He worked as a mechanic by day and helped those in need by night. His world was tough, filled with danger and unfairness, but he believed in something others forgot: kindness. Cora stirred and opened her eyes slowly. She looked around the unfamiliar room, feeling both safe and scared. Her mind was full of questions. But she did not want to speak just yet. Instead, she watched Jack as he moved quietly, fixing a broken radio in the corner. The memory of the market haunted her. She remembered the harsh voices calling her too big. She remembered the cold chains and the fear of being sold for meat. But now, here she was, free because of a human she barely knew. Jack turned and smiled softly. "Good morning, Cora," he said. Her lips moved to reply, but no words came out. He understood her silence and sat beside her on the bed. "There is something I want to tell you," he said carefully. Jack explained that the Market of Shadows was run by powerful people who did not like losing what they thought was theirs. They would come for her again because she was valuable, not for who she was, but for what they could get. He told her about the huntersmen who captured aliens and sold them to the highest bidder. Jack's voice grew serious. "They will not stop until they have you back." Cora's heart raced as fear returned. She looked at Jack. "Why do you care? Why did you buy me?" she asked. Jack's eyes met hers, full of honesty. "Because I see you as a person, not a thing." He paused. "Because I believe no one should be left to suffer, especially not you." Cora felt tears sting her eyes. Something she had not done in a long time. She wanted to trust him, but the pain of betrayal was too deep. Still, Jack's words were a light in the darkness, a promise of hope. As the morning light began to fill the room, Jack made a plan. He said they needed to move quickly before the hunters found them. Cora nodded, knowing she could not stay in one place. Together, they packed what little they had, preparing to leave the city behind. Outside, the streets were waking up, but danger lurked in every corner. Jack knew people who owed him favors, friends who might help. They made their way silently through narrow alleys. Cora's large form moved carefully, trying not to attract attention. They stopped at a hidden garage where Jack's friend, Lena, waited. Lena was a tough woman with sharp eyes and a kind heart. She greeted them quickly. "You brought trouble with you," she said. Jack smiled. "I brought someone who needs help." Lena offered food and a place to rest. She warned them about the hunters' reach and their brutal methods. Cora listened, feeling both fear and gratitude. For the first time, she saw that not all humans were cruel. That night, as Cora rested, Jack and Lena talked quietly. They knew the hunters would not stop. They needed a way to protect Cora, something stronger than just hiding. Jack revealed a secret he had kept. He was part of a small group fighting against the black market. They worked in shadows, helping aliens escape and find safety. Cora's eyes widened, hope growing in her chest. She was not alone anymore. But there was a problem. Cora's size made it hard for her to move quickly or stay hidden. She was powerful, yes, but also vulnerable. Jack looked at her with concern. "We will find a way," he promised. The next day, they planned their next move. Cora needed to understand her strength, and Jack needed to prepare for the fight ahead. They trained together, Jack teaching her how to defend herself. Cora learned to trust her new human friend, her heart slowly healing, but the hunters were closing in. Their leader, a cruel man named Voss, sent spies to track Cora's every step. He was angry that someone had taken what was his prize. Voss would stop at nothing to get her back. One evening, While Cora and Jack were walking through the city outskirts, they heard the sound of engines and shouting. Voss's men had found them. Jack grabbed Cora's hand, pulling her behind a wall. "Stay quiet and trust me," he whispered. The hunters searched everywhere, their voices cold and harsh. Cora's heart pounded as she held her breath. Jack's calm presence gave her strength. After a tense moment, the men left, but the danger was far from over. Cora looked at Jack, her eyes full of determination. "I will fight," she said. Jack nodded, proud of her courage. Together, they would face the coming storm. The city was full of shadows, secrets, and dangers. But in this darkness, a strange friendship was growing, a bond between a giant alien woman and a human who believed in hope. And their story was only beginning. The strange bond. The night was quiet, but full of tension. Inside the small safe house, Cora and Jack sat near a dim light. The city outside buzzed with danger, but inside, something new was growing. A connection between two very different beings. Cora looked at Jack with curious eyes. She was still learning to trust him. Her large hands folded in her lap, trembling slightly. Jack smiled gently, understanding her fear. "I know it is hard to trust," Jack said softly. "I have seen many hurt before, and I want to help you." Cora nodded slowly, feeling the warmth in his words. She wanted to believe him, but the pain of the past still held her back. Jack reached out carefully. He touched her scarred arm with kindness. "It does not matter how you look," he said. "To me, you are strong and beautiful." Cora felt a strange feeling in her chest. No one had ever said those words to her before. Her eyes filled with tears, but this time they were tears of hope. Days passed, and their bond grew stronger. Jack helped Cora learn how to live in this new world. He showed her how to move quietly, how to watch for danger. Cora listened and learned. Feeling safer with each step, Jack shared stories of his past, how he grew up in a tough city but never lost his belief in kindness. Cora shared memories of her home planet, of green forests and wide rivers, a place she longed to see again. Together, they found comfort in each other's company. Jack's laughter made Cora smile for the first time in years. Her strength surprised him, and he admired her will to survive. But their strange bond was not without challenges. Cora's size made some tasks difficult. Simple things like sitting in a chair or moving through narrow spaces. Jack always found a way to help, never making her feel small or weak. One evening, as they prepared a simple meal, Cora asked, "Why do you help me so much? Why risk everything?" Jack looked at her with honest eyes. "Because I believe everyone deserves to be free, to be loved," he said. Cora's heart ached with a mix of emotions. She reached out and touched Jack's hand. A silent promise passed between them. They would face the coming dangers together, but danger was never far away. Hunters from the Market of Shadows were still searching. Their cruel leader, Voss, sent messages warning Jack to give Cora back. Jack ignored the threats, his resolve stronger than ever to protect Cora. Jack taught her how to fight. He showed her how to use her size as an advantage, how to move with power and grace despite her heavy form. Cora trained hard, her muscles growing stronger every day. One afternoon, Jack took Cora to a hidden training ground. They practiced together under the warm sun. Cora's laughter filled the air as she learned to control her strength. For the first time, she felt powerful and proud. Their bond grew beyond friendship. They shared stories, hopes, and fears. Jack saw Cora not as a monster or a prize, but as a person with dreams and a heart. Cora learned to trust again. She began to hope for a future where she was more than her size, more than what others wanted to use her for. But the world outside was cruel. Voss and his hunters were planning their next move. They would not stop until they had Cora back. One evening, While Jack and Cora were walking through the city, they noticed strange shadows following them. Jack's eyes narrowed. "We are being watched," he said. Cora's heart pounded, but she did not run. Instead, she stood tall beside Jack, ready to fight. The hunters appeared suddenly, blocking their path. Voss stepped forward, his face cold and cruel. "You belong to me," Voss said. Cora's eyes flashed with anger. "No," she replied firmly. "I am not your prize or your meat." Jack stepped forward, his voice strong. "If you want her, you must go through me." A fierce battle began. Cora used her new strength. Jack fought with skill and courage. The hunters were surprised by their power and unity. They retreated, but the threat remained. Jack and Cora knew the fight was far from over as the night settled again. Cora looked at Jack with gratitude and determination. Their strange bond had become a lifeline. Together, they would face the darkness ahead. And their story was just beginning. Asterisk. The hunt begins. The city's night air was cold and thick with fear. Jack and Cora moved quietly through the dark streets. They knew the hunters were coming, and time was short. Every shadow seemed alive. Every sound a warning. Cora's large form made it hard to hide. She walked close to Jack, trusting him to keep her safe. Jack's eyes scanned every corner, every alley. He held a small weapon, but his real strength was his quick mind. The Market of Shadows was angry and desperate. They had lost their prize, and they wanted her back. Voss, the cruel leader, sent his men in groups. Hunters with sharp eyes and no mercy. Jack and Cora reached a safe place. A hidden room beneath an old building. Lena, Jack's friend, waited. There with supplies. Her face showed worry, but she did not question them. She prepared food and checked the small weapons they had. "We can't stay here long," Lena said. "The hunters will find us soon." Jack nodded. "We need a plan to fight back." Cora listened, feeling the weight of their danger. The night grew darker, and the sounds outside grew closer. Suddenly, a noise shattered the quiet. The hunters had found them, breaking through the door. Jack shouted, "Get ready." Cora stood tall, her large body blocking the entrance. She roared, a deep, powerful sound that shook the room. The hunters hesitated, surprised by her strength. The fight was brutal and fast. Jack and Lena fought with everything they had. Cora swung her heavy arms, knocking down several men. Her fear turned into fury. And she would not back down. The hunters retreated, but promised to return. Jack knew this was just the beginning. They had made their first stand, but more battles were ahead after the fight. Jack checked Cora's wounds. She smiled weakly, grateful for his care. "I won't let them take me," she said firmly. Jack believed her, and he felt a fierce protectiveness grow. They decided to move to a safer place outside the city, a remote area where the hunters would have trouble finding them. Jack prepared a small vehicle, and they packed quickly. Time was against them. But hope still burned bright. On the road, Cora looked at the passing stars. She remembered her home, a distant planet of light and peace. She wondered if she would ever see it again. Jack noticed her sadness and reached out to hold her hand. "You are not alone anymore," he said. "We will face this together." Cora squeezed his hand. Feeling strength in his words, they reached a hidden base. A small group of rebels who fought the Market of Shadows. Jack introduced Cora as a symbol of hope and courage. The rebels welcomed her, amazed by her size and spirit. Days passed with training and planning. Cora learned to use her power with control. Jack taught her strategy and survival. Their bond deepened, built on trust and shared goals. But danger was never far. Voss sent spies to the base. One night, alarms blared. The hunters were attacking. The battle was fierce. Cora fought like a storm. Jack and the rebels defended with courage. In the chaos, Cora saved a young rebel from harm. After the fight, the base was damaged but still standing. The rebels praised Korra's strength. She felt proud, but knew the war was far from over. Jack and Korra stood together under the stars. They knew the market of shadows would not give up. But they were ready to fight for freedom and for each other. Their story was now a battle for survival and for hope. The hidden truth: the days after the battle were tense and quiet. Jack and Korra stayed close to the rebel base, healing and preparing. But Korra felt a strange restlessness inside her. Something was changing, something she did not understand. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Korra sat alone, looking at her large hands. She touched the scars and bumps on her skin. Her thoughts were heavy with memories and questions. Jack approached quietly and sat beside her. "You seem far away," he said softly. Korra looked up, eyes full of worry. "There is something about me," she whispered. "Something I don't know." Jack nodded. "You are stronger than you think. But there is more to your story, isn't there?" Korra took a deep breath and began to tell. She spoke of her past, of her planet, and the strange power inside her. A power that made her different and feared. She explained how her people used this power to protect themselves, but on the market. They saw it as a curse. That was why she was rejected and sold, because they did not understand her true worth. Jack listened carefully, his mind racing. This power could change everything. It could be the key to defeating the market of shadows. But it could also make Korra a target more dangerous than before. The rebels gathered to hear Korra's story. They were amazed and afraid. Some whispered that this power was the reason Voss wanted her so badly. Others wondered if she could control it. Korra admitted she did not fully understand it herself. Sometimes, her body glowed with a strange light. Sometimes she felt energy flowing through her like a river. But she was scared of what might happen if she lost control. Jack stood beside her and spoke to the group. "We must protect her and help her learn," he said. "This power is not a curse, but a gift." The rebels agreed to help Korra train and control her abilities. Days turned into weeks. Korra practiced every day. Jack taught her to focus her mind, to breathe deeply. The rebels helped with their knowledge and experience. Slowly, Korra's power became clearer. She could create shields of light to block attacks. She could heal small wounds with her hands. She could even sense danger before it came. But each time she used her power, she grew weaker. It took energy from her body, and she needed rest. Jack watched her carefully. Worried about her health? "Korra, you must be careful," he warned. "Your strength is incredible. But you are still human in many ways." Korra smiled weakly. "I want to be strong enough to fight, to protect us all." Jack nodded. "We will get there, together." One night, while Korra was sleeping, Jack had a strange dream. He saw Voss standing over Korra with a cruel smile. He saw Korra's power being taken away and used for destruction. He woke up sweating, knowing the fight was far from over. The next morning, Jack told Korra about his dream. She held his hand tightly. "We cannot let that happen," she said. "We must find a way to stop Voss once and for all." Jack and Korra planned carefully. They would need to strike at the heart of the market of shadows to destroy the power that made Voss so dangerous, but it would be risky and could cost them everything. Korra felt ready. Her power was growing. And so was her courage. She looked at Jack. "I am not just the big alien they sold for meat," she said firmly. "I am more than that." Jack smiled with pride. "And you always will be." Together, they prepared to face the greatest challenge yet, their bond stronger than ever, their hope shining bright. The hidden truth was now their greatest weapon and their most dangerous secret. Asterisk, the final stanza air was thick with tension as Jack and Korra prepared for what could be their last battle. The rebel base buzzed with activity, but a heavy silence hung over the group. Everyone knew this fight would decide their fate. Cora stood tall, her massive form glowing faintly from the power she had learned to control. Her eyes were steady. Full of determination, she was no longer the scared alien sold for meat. She was a warrior, ready to fight for her freedom and the future of many. Jack moved beside her, his hand resting lightly on her arm. "We've come so far," he said softly. "We fight together." Cora nodded. Drawing strength from his words, the plan was simple but dangerous. They would strike at the market of Shadow's main fortress. Was's stronghold was heavily guarded. But the rebels had gathered information on secret passages and weak points. As night fell, Jack, Cora, and the rebels moved silently through the dark streets. Their hearts beat fast, but their steps were sure. They reached the fortress walls and waited for the signal. Then, with a fierce cry, Cora led the charge. Breaking through the gates with her powerful arms, the battle inside was chaos. Hunters and guards fought with desperation. Jack fought beside Cora, protecting her from harm. The rebels moved quickly, disabling traps and freeing prisoners. Vas appeared at the top of the fortress. His face twisted with rage. He raised his weapon, aiming directly at Cora. But Cora's shield of light appeared just in time, blocking the attack. "Give her to me," Vas shouted. Cora stood her ground. "No," she said firmly, "I am not yours." The final battle was fierce and long. Cora used her power to protect her friends. Jack fought with skill and courage. Together, they pushed Vas and his men back. Vas, desperate and furious, tried to use a hidden weapon, a device that could drain Cora's power. Jack saw it and rushed to stop him. They fought hand to hand, the fate of many hanging in the balance. Cora gathered all her strength. Her body glowed brighter than ever. She unleashed a wave of energy that knocked Vas to the ground. The hunters surrendered, their will broken. With the battle won, the fortress fell silent. The prisoners were freed, and the market of shadows began to crumble. Cora and Jack stood together, victorious but tired. The rebels cheered. Calling Cora a hero, she smiled, feeling a new sense of purpose. She was more than her size or scars. She was a symbol of hope and strength. Jack looked at her with pride. "We did it," he said softly. "But this is just the beginning." Cora nodded, knowing their fight for freedom was not over. But with Jack by her side, she felt ready for whatever came next. The final stand was won. But their story continued. Together, they would face the future. A new beginning. The sun rose slowly over the ruins of the Market of Shadows. The city was quiet, but the air was filled with hope. Cora stood on a small hill, looking at the world she had helped change. Her large form was strong and proud, a symbol of a new future. Jack stood beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. They had fought many battles together. They had faced darkness and danger. But now, they looked toward a brighter tomorrow. The rebels worked quickly to rebuild what was lost. They freed those who had been trapped and gave them food and shelter. Cora helped wherever she could, her strength a gift to those in need. She was no longer a prisoner or a prize. She was a leader and a protector. People from all over the city came to see her. Some were afraid at first because of her size, but her kind heart and brave spirit won them over. She listened to their stories and promised to fight for their rights. Jack watched her with pride. He knew Cora had found her true place. Together, they planned to create a safe home for aliens and humans alike. A place where no one would be judged by their size or past. One day, as they walked through the city streets, a group of children approached Cora. They looked up at her with wide eyes. "Will you tell us your story?" one asked. Cora smiled and knelt down. She began to tell them about her home planet, about her journey from fear to hope, about the human who had saved her and believed in her. The children listened with wonder, their hearts filled with courage. And dreams, Cora knew her story would live on, inspiring others to stand strong. But the world was still full of challenges. Not everyone accepted the change. Some feared the power Cora held. Others remembered the market of shadows and its cruelty. Jack and Cora prepared for these struggles. They gathered allies and built strong friendships. They worked to heal old wounds and create new bonds. One evening, as the city lights flickered on, Jack and Cora stood together, watching the stars. Cora whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." Jack smiled. "Thank you for trusting me." Their hands found each other, a promise of friendship and hope. They knew their journey was far from over, but together they could face anything. A new beginning had arrived, not just for Cora and Jack, but for all who dreamed of freedom and kindness. The market of shadows was gone, but its memory was a warning and a lesson. That even in the darkest places, light and hope could grow. Cora's story became a legend, a tale told by many of a massive alien woman, too big to breed, sold for meat, who found a human to save her, and together they changed the world, and that was only the start.